Now, we've always said, let all truth be revealed, and we're going to be talking about some truth being revealed today. We have the first files, the phase 1 of the list and the logs dropping. We're also going to be showing you here definitive proof that Ripple once again showing up as a lender of last resort. This time for people that openly defame Ripple and Brad Garlinghouse, but Ripple still shows up to help out the ecosystem. We're also going to be talking about the SEC, discussing XRP behind closed doors today. Yes, that's taking place as I record this update right now. Now, it's February 27, 2025. I hope you appreciate our updates. Everything is available at zachrector.com, and I greatly appreciate your support. Let's get started here. The markets are hanging out, doing all right, but I want to focus on what's all being revealed here today. Ex-journalists leave White House holding Epstein files phase 1. Social media influencers DC Drano, Libs of TikTok, Mike Cernovich, and others were seen leaving the White House carrying binders labeled Epstein files. There you have it, folks, leaving the White House with the documents. Are we going to have to wait around for a Twitter space to get fired up by these conservative influencers before we figure out what's going on here? They're walking out of the White House. They have them. We haven't seen this uploaded to the web, any website or online yet, but I expect that this will be imminent and we'll all be going through it together. And I did ask Twitter the question here, will the flight log crash the markets? So please head on over to X and vote for this poll. It looks like no is the answer so far. Maybe the markets are already pricing in some of this being released. And maybe, for many of us, it's just not all that surprising after we've kind of researched what's been going on here. These people are sick. Absolutely. And they're still trying to stop this from being released, too. Pam Bondi revealed that thousands of files are still held by the Southern District in New York and will be delivered to the Justice Department by tomorrow. So we're still waiting for all of these files to get released. We're still waiting for them to come from Southern District in New York. What is going on? The people deserve full truth and transparency. And the news really should be put out here. This information should be put out here, as soon as possible. And I think that they're working on that. So once again, let all truth be revealed is my position. I think a lot of people are going to be shocked. Our community kind of already aware of, this evil that we're up against. These people are sick. And when you understand this, you begin to understand why they're fighting so hard to defend the establishment, the status quo, and basically their way of operating and controlling this country, the DC corporation and what it was truly used for. Pretty incredible. Now, let's get the scoop here. Eleanor Terrett reporting on it first. Consensus and the SEC agreeing in principle to dismiss the agency's lawsuit against the blockchain software company. So this is another case that is being settled up and announced here today. And meanwhile, we wait for the Ripple case conclusion, which is right around the corner. I'd like to remind everybody that this case is done. We're just waiting for the announcement to be made. And at this point, it does feel like the SEC is trolling us by ending all of these other investigations, ending all of these other lawsuits. And meanwhile, the Ripple case, that's like, instead of first in, first out, we're getting the first in, last out treatment here in the cryptocurrency space and the SEC lawsuits. But I wanted to remind everybody that the SEC Crypto Task Force is now quoting Judge Torres' statements on XRP not being a security. We are getting very close. And today, as I record this update, 11 o'clock here on the West Coast, 2 o'clock Eastern, this is when the SEC closed door meeting is taking place right now. Chad Steingraber posting the SEC next meeting will result in more cases being dropped. It's possible that we get Kraken and Bittrex dropped at the same time. Otherwise, one of those today, tomorrow, the other on Monday or Tuesday. That means that the Ripple case would be dropped as the early of end of next week. Lock and load XRP. I mean, it could be dropped at any point now. Now, a point of clarity in regards to these SEC closed door meeting taking place here today, we also noted that they are set to discuss the XRP ETFs. That was on the docket of discussions that were going to be taking place today, along with the ongoing cases and litigations as well. So although I don't expect the Ripple case to end today, we know it's on the docket, and in particular, specifically, the ETFs as well. ETFs coming, case about to be dropped. It's looking just fine over here. Point now, my prediction remains April 16th, the day that Ripple requested to be able to file their appeal. that was the date that, they chose so that they could buy themselves some time to roll out the case conclusion, play out, because it does feel like all the world's a stage here with this particular case. Buying them some time and allowing them to play out this final act of the SEC versus Ripple stage lawsuit. And we're going to be off to the races. On my video that I dropped this morning, a lot of people were commenting, if XRP doesn't pump to $5 to $10 off of this news, they're going to be very unhappy. And I would be too. But I fully expect that XRP is going to be ripping to $5 to $10 in the next 30 to 60 days. I've held to that. I'm sticking to that. And despite if we do get one more pullback, I still think that everything's intact for us to continue this XRP bull run. $5 to $10, by the way, is just the start. I believe we're going to very, very much higher prices on, double digits and beyond for XRP later this year into next year too. That's the institutional era of liquidity. What we're doing right now is still retail. And that's the thing, is that retail doesn't get that this case is over. That's why we're going to move, is because there's a lot of people that just won't move. They don't make moves until they get to read off the headline, until mainstream media gets to spoon feed them, until the suits on CNBC talking head pundits get a television, get to tell them that it's officially over. The money's made in making your move now. The money's made in having analysis, doing research that allows you to make an educated investment before the headlines hit. And that's why we've continued to talk about Ripple acting as a lender of last resort. People thought it was a joke. People thought it was a meme. And now it's coming out. Not only did Ripple bail out MoonPay when MoonPay didn't have access to liquidity during the Trump meme coin pump, Ripple showed up and helped to provide some liquidity to MoonPay. We've seen that. There's been other instances as well. But now today, court documents allege that Swan Bitcoin, the Bitcoin bros, needed a little bit of help here, violated their agreement with Tether, a top stablecoin provider, in their joint Bitcoin mining effort by using its equity stake to obtain financing from Ripple Labs. Hold up. So now the Bitcoin bros need a little bit of liquidity, apparently. And who did they turn to? That would be Ripple and Brad Garlinghouse. Now, Crypto Eddie shares this right here. But when Corey Swan needed cash, he turned to Ripple for financing. According to UK and US legal documents obtained by Blockspace, my goodness, Corey Klippenstein, who is the owner of Swan Capital, and he has openly defamed Brad Garlinghouse and Ripple many times. This space truly is unbelievable. This is his tweet here right after the Ripple lawsuit dropped, December 27, 2020. This is just 5 days after the lawsuit dropped. Corey Klippenstein and all these other clowns wanted to chime in. He says, hey, crypto people, if you hope the SEC will just give Ripple a slap on the wrist and not shut down the company completely, with XRP going to zero and Hansen and Garlinghouse going to jail, you're an apologist for blatantly obvious, nefarious Ponzi scheme. This is why I said here that Ripple and Brad have always been a lender of last resort. Garlinghouse has always had the best hand at the table. Brad could easily win a handful of defamation cases if he wanted to. He could absolutely take these guys to town. Just destroy them in the courts. With the legal assassins that Brad and Ripple can afford, lawyers that these clowns cannot afford, with the silly stuff that these guys have said, openly defaming, calling Brad and Ripple fraud, Ponzi scheme, etc. Oh boy. These guys would get taken for every little bit that they have, every last little Bitcoin that they own, if Brad Garlinghouse wanted to play that way. But they've always been the adults in the room. We've always reached out our hand to help out the rest of the space. Brad could easily win a handful of defamation cases if he wanted to, and maybe even more. Dozens, probably. Instead, Brad and Team Ripple continue to selflessly defend the entire ecosystem without the recognition they deserve. That's the difference between the adults in the room and Corey and the kids in the rest of the cryptocurrency space. There's a big difference between who's eating beef bourguignon with President Trump, hand in hand, helping save this country, and who's been clowning around on Twitter, calling Brad and Ripple frauds and Ponzi schemes, playing around out here. And when it turns out they need a little bit of loan, they need a little bit of liquidity, who do they turn to? They turn to the fraud and the Ponzi scheme to bail them out. Hypocrites, to say the least, downright criminals and the real fraudsters when we dive into some of this stuff. And as the statement I made here, kind of the saying for today's show, as I continue to say, we let all truth be revealed, and what do we find? Ripple always was set up to be a lender of last resort. XRP always was going to be a reserve currency of the new financial system. Never was going to be Bitcoin. And let all truth be revealed when it comes to these crimes against humanity, to note on that as well. We're going to keep you guys up to date. More content coming, and we're going to be going live here tonight for our usual Thursday night live show, 7 p.m. Pacific, 10 p.m. Eastern. I hope to see you there. All of our community resources are available at zachrector.com. Please get in touch with us if you need to. All right. God bless. Stay safe. I am your host, Zach Rector. I really appreciate all of the love and support. If you want to support the channel, just remember that you can start by smashing that thumbs up for me, sharing this content far and wide, and everything else is at my website.